history might look like, I think we all might have a different vision of how we would want that story to be told. For me, I do research on Vinegar Hill, and I've done research on the Canada neighborhood, and part of this research, you do find these connections, these relationships between the people who live in these communities and their employers, either the university itself or fraternities or faculty. It's a running theme through oral histories that they lived where they did so that they could live near their place of employment. So the history of Charlottesville and its development is intimately connected with that story. I'm not sure you want to disconnect those two things, that we might want to think about that history, the history of Charlottesville, as it's intertwined with, and maybe beyond Elmo County as well, as it's intertwined with that story of the laboring people of the university community.
We're going to take one last question because we're going to take time and take you
So I want to pass something a little bit. I've been here for 4 years, and I haven't seen anything change in terms of research. It seems very spatially segregated. UVA, Woodlawn, Lambeth, first year dorms. How has the legacy of slavery caused this separation? And how can these race relations be improved? What can be done? Because I'm sure a lot of people are thinking of this as what are we going to do now? Because UVA has not really changed. As Professor Leffler said, it doesn't sound like much has changed in terms of that white country club culture.
I have been African American in this country for 55 years, and I've seen things go in cycles. Some years are good, some years are bad, and that especially applies to UVA. There were some years that have been very good for African Americans here, and then some years that have not. Unfortunately, race is the major thing in American life for all of us as American citizens. It comes down to race, always have, and I think it always will. As an African American, I like to be optimistic because as a historian, I say to myself, well, you know, a couple of generations ago, we were slaves. So I like to be optimistic about such things. So I don't want to be pessimistic, especially with young people here in the audience. But I do want to say is that UVA can do better. There are people at UVA that are sincere about things, and there are people who are not. I do not believe that every white person I encounter at UVA is a racist. I don't believe that. I don't believe every white person I've encountered in my life is a racist, because I've met too many white people who cared about me, supported my career, so I don't believe all white people are racist. However, having said that, I know racism when I see it, and I darn sure know racism when I've experienced it, and I've experienced it here at UVA. 8 times in 31 years, I've had to file a formal complaint against someone in UVA for practicing racism against me. But the bottom line for me is this: I am an American. I am a Virginian, and I'm an employee of this university, and I'm determined when I go to my grave, would have done everything I can to make this country a better place, not just for African Americans, not just for women, but for all Americans, because that's the bottom line. We are all Americans. We have a right, we have a duty, and we have a destiny to make things better.
Follow it up by sharing with you something that, a statement that was made that came out of this class that Karen Waters, who spoke earlier, and I and Frank Hughes have been teaching. And it was a statement made by one of the African American women who had befriended those early students of color. Her name is Teresa Walker Price. She brought these students into her home and has clearly been involved in community matters all her life. when she was asked in our class, knowing the history that you know, what can we do in the name of repair? And I think this speaks to your question, how do we change these patterns? She said that she really wasn't much interested in apology. What she was interested in, or for her, apology would mean living every single day of your life from here in forward in a way that will treat people with dignity and respect and kindness and appreciation. So again, I think it is what we do together as members of the community, how we reach out to one another, that will ultimately make the difference, not just in UVA, but in society as a whole.
I'd like to say, I think the